it can happen for anybody at any age, and football really is the game for anybody.
Hello, and welcome back to the Absolute Football Podcast and our All About series, where we, of course, talk about a specific club with a supporter and somebody who loves that club. So I can't do this. I say this every time, but I can't do this on my own. I've brought the super partner along with me. Charlotte is here. How are you today, Charlotte?
I'm really, really good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad. We're recording this the day after Bournemouth Southampton, actually, so it's well timed. So that's why Heather's got a big smile on her face. We see her smile pop up in the corner normally on the chats on the podcast. We've got it for real after that result yesterday. So yeah, it's Friday, so I've gone with a cheeky. I suppose this is kind of Cherries. Is this, I've kind of gone with the theme a little bit to support us through today. So I thought, why not? So yeah, I'm doing good. And of course, you will have already seen Heather is with us. Heather is here to supporting Bournemouth, talking about Bournemouth. Heather, how are you today? How are things?
I'm pretty fantastic. Very tired, but it was a busy day yesterday and today. But yeah, fantastic night. So well worth the tiredness.
Absolutely worth it. And we're absolutely buzzing to have you on with us. Of course, you join us quite regularly on the podcast on a Monday, so we get to chat to you normally through the text, but it's nice to have you face to face for a conversation with us is superb. So thank you for joining us. We're really looking forward to this one.
No problem.
And of course, Bournemouth. So before we sort of get into all of the things and how you got into Bournemouth and everything else, do you want to sort of give everybody sort of a bit of background about yourself, how you're involved with Bournemouth and HerGameToo in particular?
So up until 2020, I actually hated football.
Wow, conversion.
So where I grew up, there was only boys in my road. So I was basically forced to play football or nothing. There was nothing else to do other than go climb trees and stuff like that, which we did as well. But there was a lot of playing football. My dad was also a football pools collector. So on a Saturday, we'd end up watching every bit of football that there was on the TV. And yeah, I don't know. Anytime I'm forced to do something, I kind of end up hating it.
Rebel against it.
Yeah.
Like me now with Rochdale.
Yeah.
My dad forced me and now I hate it.
You're not forced to do that. You
No,
choose
I'm
to be a glutton for punishment. So yeah, then I just completely turned away from football. And in lockdown, I'd been down to see a friend who lived in Bournemouth, and I'd left my Now TV logged in on his account because we've been watching movies and stuff, and he hadn't got the movies part of it, and he forgot that mine was logged in, and he bought the sports pass, which was like 33 quid or something. So he phoned up and said, "Oh, I owe you some money," and I was like, "Oh, why's that?" "I've bought a sports pass." "Oh, don't worry about it. Just put the money in my account, whatever." And then he just started pestering me. "Do you want to watch a match with me? Do you want to watch a match with me?" "No, I really don't." But the pester power was too much, and eventually I was like, "Okay, I'll watch one match with you. Which one do you want to watch?" "Well, let's watch Bournemouth because I'm living here. I think I'm probably going to support the team." And then I watched it, and I thought, this is not so bad actually. And they were just about to drop out of the Premier League the first time. And yeah, I watched -17 because I was like, let's look into this team a little bit more. And yeah, I just sort of fell in love with them. And now I go to every game pretty much. So.
Wow, that's a pretty incredible story, because you quite often hear of, say, when you're young or following family members, but yeah, to kind of be that sort of not a fan at all, and suddenly to not just be a casual viewer, but properly involved and properly enjoying it. And I mean, that's probably one of the most interesting ones that we've had, Char, when we said, tell us about your story.
I love that though. I love stories like that.
It's great. And so you obviously picked Bournemouth. I mean, have you always lived in Bournemouth? Have you always?
No, I don't live anywhere near Bournemouth. It's 117 miles there and 117 miles back. So every game is an away game for me.
Absolutely. Well, you must love the away games. You must think I'll get in on some of those ones.
Yeah, the London and Brighton ones are the nearest to me, so yeah, pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah. And so even with the should we say the local derby, I suppose, with Southampton last night was even a bit of a trek as well. So
it's closer than Bournemouth.
It's closer than Bournemouth for you, yeah.
Yeah.
Is indeed. So that's great that you were involved with that, and obviously you are very heavily involved in HerGameToo, which we'll come on to a lot later in terms of what we do. So we'll sort of stick with Bournemouth for now. And you said, can you remember in that first game you watched who were they playing in that first game?
I think it might have actually been against Southampton.
Something about, was it more entertaining than the one last night? Because I'm from Southampton and I know a lot of Southampton fans who weren't that impressed with A, the football, B, the result.
They didn't like the result, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't think they liked so they had a 89th minute goal which was disallowed, and they all started celebrating as you do, and then VAR came up and we were like, surely not, because we never get VAR given to us, or VAR decisions rather. We've not had one penalty all season, so we were like,
wow,
this is not going to go our way. But then it did, and obviously you just hear this roar coming up from the Bournemouth fans, and all the Southampton fans are just like
heads in their hands.
Yeah.
What is it? I've not actually been to a game where I've been to a couple of games since VAR's been there, but there wasn't any VAR calls. What's it like in the stadium to have that kind of reverse? Are you sat there hoping and waiting for a VAR, or does it surprise you and you think, oh yeah, we've got a potential silver lining? Or
well, being Bournemouth, you don't ever think that the VAR's decision's going to go your way. So when it does, it's a really nice surprise. But you just kind of feel quite anxious while it's happening.
It sounds like on the television, like there's like a hush that kind of goes on the ground.
Yeah.
You can hear everyone go, "Oh, what's going on here? What's going on here?" Because you might not always see the incident yourself either, so it can be confusing, I bet.
And they, you can't hear anything going on, which I think that's something they're looking into, so that you should be able to hear what the referee's saying to the pit person on VAR, because you might have up to 5 minutes where just nothing's happening and all the players are waiting around. And you just don't know what's going on, really. So, yeah,
it's still early days, I suppose, isn't it, for VAR? There's lots of things they need to tweak with it. Getting the decisions right is probably one of the main things. Yeah, getting right decisions somehow. That's what we want, and not confusing everybody in the process. That would be trust that process, Shah. That's what they need to do. But they need to find a process first to trust. That's the issue. That's what they need. So you say obviously you supported Bournemouth starting from before they sort of went down. So I'm guessing maybe your favourite Bournemouth moment would be promotion, possibly last year.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. How was the promotion party?
It was crazy. I mean, as soon as the whistle went, everybody just like piled onto the pitch. And yeah, I obviously haven't been around football. That was literally my first season of going along to games, because I'd only watched it on the TV the year previous to that. So yeah, it was amazing. And everybody went out afterwards, but unfortunately I had work the next day and I had to get back from Bournemouth. So
no.
My friend was like, don't worry, I'll make sure you're home by 7 a.m.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, last thing you want work after something like that, and just back down to reality.
Yeah, but they didn't get much sense out of me that day. I had a meeting and I literally went in, I was just bouncing all over the
yeah. I couldn't care about any of this. This is irrelevant. This is not important.
My mind's elsewhere.
My mind's elsewhere. We've achieved all our goals. Not interested in yours.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, so that was great, I suppose, to come up and so soon after going back and kind of bouncing back and coming in. So we'll come on to this season, but going into this season, did you think and expect that you could survive the drop? How were you feeling about that coming back up?
I didn't really know what to expect because I had only watched us for maybe 6 games in the Premier League before. And And then obviously our first 3 games were Villa, which we won, then Man City, which nobody's really going to win, are they?
No,
one
not
or
at the
two.
moment.
And then I'm not sure if we had another game in between, but then we had Liverpool, which was the 9-0, and I was just like, get me back to the Championship.
That was I remember that one was quite early on, wasn't it? I think 4 or 5 games in, maybe not even that far. The Liverpool game was.
I think it was like 3 or 4, and it was horrific. I mean, I drove up and back in the day as well, which didn't help, because when you've got to drive back after a loss, it's just so miserable and it's so far. Horrible.
Yeah, that one. I was actually flying back from holiday that day, and that was one of those we turned the phones on. I heard sort of people whispering in the thing about a 9-0, and I thought, oh my god, which game's this? Which game's this? Which game's this? Yeah, but you got your revenge. You got your revenge in the end.
Yeah, we did.
So all's well that ends well. So just one final question from me as we on the opening kind of portion of this. You said Bournemouth. If it wasn't Bournemouth, who would be your go-to as a team to support?
I'd probably say for the personalities. I know they're top of the league, but Arsenal, because I don't know, I just love Saka. I love Ramsdale. I don't know. I just think they're a team full of nice personalities, which is kind of what drew me further into Bournemouth as well, because it's like a real community feel and everything. My closest team, well, Crawley Town. I would support them.
Yeah, you'd have been having a right battle. You'd have had a right battle with Charlotte this year.
I'm so jealous of them. It looks like they're staying up.
They shouldn't do. And then the next nearest is Brighton, but I don't know. I didn't really love it when I went to Brighton. So,
if you said the stadium's supposed to be quite nice, what was the stadium like? I hear from a lot of people.
The stadium's nice, but it's absolutely horrific getting in and out of the stadium because you have to catch a train, and it's just like the London Tube at rush hour. You just all like crammed in like sardines, and no, I didn't find it enjoyable.
No. Watch that one on the telly next time.
Yeah.
Right in a way.
With me as well, obviously being a lower league fan, I've kind of admired Bournemouth's story, like obviously being from the lower league and then gradually getting up, and then they had the difficulties and they struggled. And I know you sent me a video as well of them times when I was really upset about Dale and like seeing Bournemouth struggles, and I just really admire them as a club and stuff. But one person in particular, as you probably know, I just want to know your comments on Eddie Howe, because it is a podcast favourite and you know how much I love him. So yeah, I just want to kind of get your thoughts on him.
He obviously, so Bournemouth were about to drop out of the Football League entirely because I think it was on the first day of the season they were put onto -17 because of financial reasons, and the club had no money. Eddie had to get loads of players in on loan. They've got a song about that. And yeah, he just did amazingly, because he, from almost being at the bottom of League Two, he's brought them right up to the Premier League. And now you see what he's doing with Newcastle. Newcastle were right at the bottom of the Premier League, weren't they? I think, or were they in the Championship still? I can't remember. But he's brought them up anyway, up to like fourth or third place now.
Yeah, I think when they were either bottom, and then they had all the, then they came with the new owners, and he's done wonders there, absolute wonders.
And yeah, everybody just like it was incredible when he came back to Dean Court, because obviously he left during the COVID season when fans weren't in the stadium, so he never got a proper goodbye. And then when he came down, it was so emotional. Even me, that I hadn't been there during his sort of reign, as it were, because we call him King Eddie. he was going around at the end and saying his goodbyes and everything, and everybody was singing Eddie Had a Dream on -17, and I don't know, it's just really emotional and lovely.
I remember seeing that as well, and even from me, I had like tears in my eyes. It was one of them moments where it's like,
he definitely did.
It was great watching it, but I bet it was absolutely surreal being there and being in that moment.
It was fantastic, and I mean, even when we went up to Newcastle, obviously he's there to be their boss now, and he couldn't really, like, we were all shouting give us the wave, Eddie, and all this, but he wouldn't do it. But then when he came to Dean Court, he was a bit more forthcoming and stuff, so it was lovely to see.
Oh, I love that. I love him as a person as well. Like, he comes across as a really nice, genuine guy. And I say it all the time on the podcast as well, but any particular team that he manages, he seems to get them all together. And they just seem like it kind of converts the dressing room into something where they're all like a team instead of just individuals. Definitely. And honestly, I just, I think he's fantastic.
And if he takes, if somebody takes Mickey with him, he will get rid of them. Like, he is the nicest guy ever. But I don't know if you know about what Ryan Fraser did when he was at Bournemouth. So basically they, because the season had to be extended because of COVID, a lot of the players like Callum Wilson and that are coming to the end of their contracts. So I think they signed like a 6-week extension or something. And he refused to, and he downed tools. And he actually came out in the press afterwards, which was probably his agent, but it might have been him as well, and said, if I'd have played, I could have kept Bournemouth up. And you can't say that sort of thing. So he's absolutely despised at Bournemouth. And then I don't know whether he's done a similar thing at Newcastle, but he's basically been put into the under-21s team because Eddie's like, no, you're disrupting the dressing room, I won't have it. And when he came down to Bournemouth, Eddie was so good to him because he had like a really bad diet and stuff, and he's just like, if you're a footballer, you can't be doing this, and he's sort of taken him under his wing and like looked after him and stuff, and then he's paid him back that way. So it's quite funny when they did come down, because we were like, oh, he won't bring Ryan, but he did only put him on the bench, and he was too scared to come and warm up. And we also had Matt Ritchie, who used to play for us, and people confused Matt Ritchie for Ryan Fraser, and Matt Ritchie was warming up at the side, so everybody started like booing at him and stuff. And they were like, awkward. Oh, it's not Fraser, it's Matt Ritchie. And then they started singing Matt Ritchie's song.
It's the one we like. You needed an I'm Not Ryan Fraser t-shirt.
Imagine being him at that time thinking, what have I done?
He literally hurt, bless him.
Probably was. I tried my best that season. He's thinking I played every game. This is how they repay me. That's good with Eddie, isn't it? Because I mean, very rarely you get the chance where managers go back and get that kind of reception because of how management is with such a merry-go-round and not having that period. You're trying to think who else might get one. You're thinking probably Dyche at Burnley next season, if if Everton stay up, might get one. But beyond that, unless one of the Klopps, or one day you go back to Liverpool, but you're struggling to think of anybody else like Eddie Howe. And I think, you could see the genuine emotion between the two was fantastic that day.
I mean, it's obviously not just the fact of him being a manager, but he was also a player. And I think, he started his career with us, and then everybody sort of thought that he'd end his career with us. And, he may come back one day, but I really doubt it. Because he's on to bigger and better things now, isn't he, really? So
you never know. Maybe Bournemouth get a takeover like Newcastle.
I was going to say,
Well, we've already had a takeover in December.
You have,
So
He's not quite got as much money as Newcastle,
No,
unfortunately.
not as them, but yeah.
No. Well, so moving into we talked about Matt Ritchie and people like that. I know you sent it to me, but so we'll see if we can run it through on the podcast. Your favourite 11 of your Bournemouth supporting so far. Do you want to run through your favourite? So we'll start with who was the goalkeeper that you selected? I think you had a 4-4-2. Was I right? Was it 4-4-2 you played?
I think so. My goalkeeper would have been Aaron Ramsdale.
Yes. He's done wonders getting that deal to, because that kind of came a bit of a surprise when he got the deal, I think, to Arsenal, because they had Leno at the time, didn't they? And he jumped across. And obviously he's had a very good season, hasn't he? I think he was under scrutiny the other night, but to be fair, he's had a decent season generally. They all had a wobble. Yeah, the Arsenal podcast has been postponed. We're all checking on Lucas's well-being, don't worry.
Oh, bless him.
So Ramsdale, good choice. Do you think potential England keeper down the line? Do you think he could take Pickford's spot?
Yeah, I don't understand Pickford. I know I upset Kira a bit the other day because when we saw Everton, so we had Everton twice in a row because we had them in the league and then we had them in the cup, or the other way round, and he was rubbish. He let so many goals in, and I know that's like partly down to the defenders and everything, but it's weird. Like, he seems so good for England, and then for Everton, not so much. But
yeah,
I could see. Everybody said that obviously Pope's number 2 and Ramsdale's number 3, but I could definitely see him. I mean, he's only young still for a keeper, isn't he? So
yeah, he is. I didn't realise how young he actually was as well. Like the other night on the podcast, I was kind of ripping into him a bit, and I feel bad now because I didn't realise how young he actually is.
I think he's only 24, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's not long he's been playing Premier League football and things like that. And say he'll get Champions League football next year as well. So all of that will help, you know. But say for England, it's really good to have both keepers coming through, whilst still, I suppose, having Pickford, who, to be fair, in an England shirt hasn't really put a foot wrong.
That's it.
So Ramsdale's a good choice. Fullbacks.
I can't remember who I picked.
Do you want? I've got it on the screen just in case. So you've got right back. You've got Adam Smith.
Yeah. He's been all right back. Like every manager that we've had, if he's not injured or suspended, then Smudge is in. Adam Smith is in. I mean, he is getting on a bit now, and he was left out of the match yesterday, but he did come on as a substitute. But generally, he's always in the team. He's
been there quite a long time now as well, I think, Adam Smith.
He's been there a while, hasn't he?
I'm pretty sure a while,
At least 10 years.
Yeah, I'm just doing a bit of cheeky Google on the side here just to have a look. But bear with me. Ask a question, Shah. I'll find out. Should we move to left back in the meantime? So Jordan Zamora while I find out about Adam Smith.
Yeah. He came up through our academy and he was absolutely amazing for us last year. So the beginning of last season, our team was a bit sparse, and they brought in Jordan Zamora and Jayden Anthony from the academy, and also Mark Travers, and they'd played the odd first team game, but nothing, and they were so good they couldn't be dropped. I mean, now it's gone a little bit sour with him, but you can't really fault him for his work and the way that he plays and everything.
I think he was, I remember him being so young when he broke through, wasn't he? It's Udinese, isn't it? He signed a pre-contract with, I think. So he's going to play in Italy. But he's still a very young kind of raw talent, isn't he? But
he is, I mean, he's got still a bit of learning and growing to do. But
Adam Smith, so just 2014. He started in 2014, so he's made almost 300 appearances now for Bournemouth. So
he's done over 300.
He's done over 300.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wikipedia, sort it out, because you're telling me 286. But I'm back in header. It's over 300.
A couple of months ago that said it was his 300th appearance. So.
Oh, okay. Wikipedia need to sort it out.
Yeah.
There we go. As of 18th of February, there you go. He's made it. He's
That's
made it probably in the meantime. Tottenham Hotspur he was at in his youth. So that's a very good stint, and that's what you want. You need.
It's good for a footballer, especially modern football as well, because there's not many that do stick around at a club for that long.
No.
So that's really good.
And particularly where he played so much sort of Championship as well and Premier League to stick with him. That's really good.
Well, he's one of the ones that came up, obviously, from League One, I think. I don't know. He might have been in League Two as well, but I can't remember all the dates.
Yeah, that's a good career for Adam Smith. So yeah, absolute stalwart. And then your centre backs, you've got Steve Cook and Nathan Ake.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Like that.
Yeah, very good. I mean, obviously, we'll start with Ake, obviously Manchester City now. So Pep saw something as well.
Yeah. I mean, when he went up to Man City, they were all very unsure of him, but all the Bournemouth fans obviously raving about him. If you ask most people, they'll say he was probably our best ever player. So
he's always got me as being so natural on the ball as a defender, like a modern day centre back, able to play with it. You know, he's pretty good with both feet as well, Nathan Ake. Yeah, very strong signing at least.
Brilliant this season, I think, for Manchester City. I think he's very underrated as well. Like, everyone recognises the John Stones and stuff in that team, but I think Nathan Ake has been really vital for him.
He has.
He definitely has. And particularly how
as well.
I think he did. He scored a couple of big games, I think, as well. Yeah. He works that Pep style well, because he can play as that kind of third centre back and allows the fullback to come in, because he's so versatile. Because he can play left back too. Yeah, I think that's a good pick there, definitely. And Steve Cook, obviously, another legend of the club.
That's it. Yeah, he was there for a similar amount of time. And I just think he didn't really get on with Parker, so unfortunately he left us for one of our promotion rivals last year, which didn't go down too well. But
no, I can imagine. But they may be going the other way, so maybe he can come back. Can sneak him back in. I've got 388 appeapperances he made, so since 2011. So that's pretty impressive. And again, he's another one down from League One.
I think he's getting on a bit. He's not really getting into the Forest team at the moment, is he? So
they've got so many players.
I was going to say,
it's hard for anyone.
ABCD team.
They've probably forgotten he exists, with the number of players they've got.
Bless him.
So no, that's a strong defence. You've got experience and kind of the young talent coming through. So that's a nice pairing. We move into the centre midfield, and you've got, of course, Matt Ritchie, as we mentioned earlier, and Jefferson Lerma as your two holding the midfield.
Jefferson he's literally all over the pitch. He seemed to stop doing silly things, because he used to get quite a lot of red cards, and it was almost like if the ref saw him, he'd just card him just in case. Matt Ritchie's just another Bournemouth legend, really.
He is, another Bournemouth, unless you confuse him with Ryan Fraser.
No.
then he's not so much. Yeah, I remember Ritchie being that first time you came up. He was a nightmare. Him and Wilson in particular were so crucial to that team. Yeah, very good player. Very good player. Then moving further, slightly up, you've got Mark Pugh. Yeah. And Philip Billing. I always love the name Philip Billing. Phenomenal name. Philip Billing.
He's my absolute favourite player.
Phil Bills.
Even if he was playing rubbish, which sometimes... So Bournemouth fans either seem to love him or hate him. And he's got a lot more popular recently. But when I first started liking him, it was because everybody was being horrible to him, and I was like, right, you're going to be my favourite. I'm going to back you no matter what.
I've got your back,
it's
Phil.
worked out for me, because he's doing excellent now. So
he has. It's his goal scoring record that surprised me, because I mean, not just this season, but the last few seasons in the Championship. He hit double figures in the Championship last season.
Yeah, he got a double last year.
Yeah, which is tremendous and he's obviously international as well with Denmark. So yeah, Phil Billing is 7 Premier League goals this time around, which again,
he's our top goal scorer.
Top scorer, I imagine. Yeah, another top player. There in Phil Billing, and still only 26, so he's probably about to peak. You would imagine.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Mark Pugh, who was another probably from the just before your era, I guess. Mark Pugh.
Yeah, I saw his last few games, and yeah, he's another legend. He's just so lovely. He's actually playing for his local team at the moment, and he's donating all of his earnings to charity.
Oh, fair play!
So, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's a nice story, isn't it? Yeah, is it Clitheroe? I think
that's it.
Yeah, Premier League.
One of my friends is actually related. I think it's her sister who's married to him, so they're kind of related. So yeah, he's come across as a nice guy and stuff. I don't know him too well, but when obviously I've seen and met him, he's come across as quite a nice chap. Quite a family orientated one as well.
Yeah. He's done a nutrition degree as well, because he came out of football for a while. And he's set up his channel called The Foodie Footballer, and he's actually goes around to football clubs and teaches the academy people about nutrition and stuff.
That's brilliant.
And yeah, a few times I've sent him a message on Instagram or something just saying, oh, I really love that recipe, and he's always replied. And yeah, he's just genuine nice guy.
I love footballers who kind of use the platform in the right ways, you know, and appreciate from fans and just that interaction with them. I do like footballers like that. It's always nice to see.
It just adds another dimension to them, particularly if part of that community that people have watched them through, they feel they're part of them, and so you know he makes impacts. He's in your top 11, you see, so you can be like, there you go.
And another midfielder that used to get loads of goals. So.
He was a goal scorer as well, yeah. I was just looking at sort of his past. Yeah, 45 goals he scored for Bournemouth 56 overall. That was just in the league. 56 goals in over 300 appearances. So yeah, you've got some club legends in there for sure.
He's one of them players, if you mention Bournemouth and you kind of want to, he's that player that you kind of associate with Bournemouth. You know, if someone said name so many players from Bournemouth, it would be Ake, it would obviously be Pugh as well, and Callum Wilson. They're the three who I'd straight away be like, yeah.
Definitely. And good segue, Char. Excellent segue into the striking, which funnily enough, Callum Wilson. We'll start with Callum and then we'll reveal your final one. What do you think of Mr. Callum Wilson, Heather? You'd love his goals back, I still would imagine.
Yeah. Well, he'd always get back in the team. He's very well loved at Bournemouth, and he had a fantastic couple of seasons for us, and we really miss him, really, but he's doing so well at Newcastle, and
he's done well. It's brought him in the England team as well, isn't it? And he's quite a character as well. I don't know if you've seen some clips. He's got a podcast he's doing with Mikel Antonio, and they're just kind of bantering off of each other. It's really funny. It's really funny, and he's doing good things at Newcastle. So Champions League football for Callum Wilson next season.
Fantastic. He well deserves it.
Well done for him. And he plays alongside your current number 9, Dominic Solanke.
Yeah. You couldn't really leave Solanke out, could you? Without him, we'd really be in the mud. So I know he hasn't scored that many goals, but he does everything. Sometimes the reason he doesn't get goals is because he's got no service, or because he's so far back up the pitch. He's everywhere. So he's fantastic. And obviously last season in the Championship he did get 30 goals. So
he's got the goals in it. As you said, I was reading something about how tactically you were playing, and they were using him more as a kind of a defensive forward, if you will. That was kind of his more roles, which was impacting and hindering his ability to be in the key areas when you did get forward. So he's doing a job for the team, which always is important for.
He works very hard as well, doesn't he?
He does,
work very hard, yeah.
And it's nice to see.
Always insane.
Yeah, I bet. And it's nice to see him kind of turn, because he had that big move to Liverpool, didn't he? Which didn't kind of work out for him. It's probably he was too young, I think. And he was kind of, at that point from Chelsea, was really hotly tipped as next. So it's nice that he kind of found a club to settle with Bournemouth and has really made the connection with them. Because, yeah, I mean, he's been quite a few seasons now, I think. He was with the Premier League and he followed you back down to the Championship and up again,
Yeah,
I think.
he joined in 2019. I can't really remember.
It's a decent period. So no, another good choice. Solanke and Wilson would be interesting as a partnership up front. We'll see it one day.
We don't normally play two up top, but if we did, I reckon they do quite well together.
Yeah, would be an excellent pairing, I think.
Some great choices in there as well. Great choices.
Thank you.
Yeah, some very good choices. A very, very good team. Very good team. And I'd say, I don't want to put words in your mouth as to who the manager is, but for Shah's benefit.
I don't think I'd pick Scott Parker.
I thought you'd have him all day long.
Probably Eddie, I'd say.
Probably Eddie. Good shout, I think, with Eddie. Definitely a good shout. So as we come out of that session, probably we'll move to that next, shall we? Obviously, we'll move on to this season, and Scott Parker in particular was a very, I suppose, eyes outside of Bournemouth, maybe surprising, maybe internally you could see some things happening that led to it. But so you've just got promoted, everything's fantastic, and then difficult start to the Premier League, and before you know it, Parker's hoiked and off. And from what I understand, and I might be wrong, tell me if I'm completely wrong, it was issues with the board and transfers, but there was a lot of behind the scenes issues leading up to that. You're able to sort of spill any beans, on the Parker situation?
When we first got him, nobody was particularly keen on the appointment because we'd had Jonathan Woodgate, who everybody seemed to love. So we'd gone from Eddie, and then we had Eddie's assistant, Jason, or Mad Dog, as they call him at Newcastle. And it didn't really work because obviously he'd been there with the players and he'd sort of been their mate. So it just didn't really work. And then we got Woodgate in as a temporary measure and he did pretty well. Like, we got to the playoffs and everything. And he just had so much charisma. And I think quite a lot of people wanted to keep him. But the board had their eye on Parker for a while, so they got him in, and nobody really enjoyed his football because he plays in a way, or used to play in a way, that it's not playing to win, it's playing to not lose.
Yeah.
Which is not what people that have watched what Eddie did are used to, because he was very much like, just go out there and get them, just do your best. Yeah. And if we don't win, we don't win, but at least if you've had a go, everybody feels better about it. But then obviously he started getting the results and we're like, well, maybe it's not so bad if we get promoted. And then we saw his halftime talk on the promotion night, and it was very emotional. And because he doesn't come across very well in media interviews, and he just seemed a bit like robotic. Yeah. But then you saw him with all this passion in the halftime talk and everything, and it sort of changed most people's opinions on him. And then we're like, okay, well, we quite like Parker now. And then the next season came, and I think he thought he was going to get more money, because in the January window of promotion season, he had managed to get, I think, 5 players on the last night. And then I think we'd had another 2 players as well before that. So we almost had an entire new team. And then he thought that was going to happen again in the summer. And it didn't, because Max was trying to sell the club and he didn't want to spend more money. He thought, right, get us to the Premier League and then we're stable and we can manage with the players that we've got in January. And he wasn't very happy about it. And he was vocally very unhappy about it, and he kept on making comments in the press which the board and the owners weren't too happy about. And then we had the 9-0 loss and came out and said, well, basically, if they don't give me money, what am I expected to do? The team's not good enough. And yeah, he was out.
And that was the end.
That was it, yeah.
It was his watching his press conferences towards since the start of the season, and you're just thinking there's things you just can't say. If you want to stay in the job, you can't say, and thinking this is kind of engineering this is only going to end one way, isn't it? At that point.
And I think he pretty much had decided that's what he was going to do, because obviously he gets a big payoff for getting out of his contract early and stuff. So
he's interesting as a manager because he obviously had that period at Fulham where he kind of that came upon very quickly, I think, for Parker, that role. Maybe I think he was a caretaker originally and then took the full job. Because, I mean, as a player, he had a fantastic career. And I always thought he was hard done by a bit by those years at Chelsea that he had, because they kind of sat him on the bench as one of their options. And he lost a bit of his career because at Charlton, he was a real sort of dynamic midfielder. So he had that kind of grit. So you can kind of see where the defence first comes from with him. But it turned out it wasn't his only sacking of the season, was it? Because he didn't last very long in Belgium.
That's it. He went to Bruges for, I think, 6 games and then...
That was a mad appointment. I didn't get that in the first place. It just baffled me.
Bruges was a funny one,
wasn't it? I think he should go to Chelsea next.
Everyone else is.
It's a roulette at Chelsea, so why not?
I mean, the Fulham fans already hate him, so...
might as well tick the box.
I think with Chelsea they pull names out of a hat just to see who the next manager's going to be.
Sounds like it. I mean, if we win against Leeds and they lose, it will actually be above Chelsea.
You'll be above Chelsea, yeah. That's how much.
I hope that happens.
They are just absolutely in free fall. They must have left the Lampard name in the hat, do you reckon, Charles? Since last time they didn't put it in the bin when they pulled him out.
It's so bizarre, isn't it? It's like, we'll sack you, you can go somewhere else, you get sacked again, and then we'll think, shall we give it another go?
Yeah, you're the guy.
Crazy.
It's odd. Chelsea are an enigma. We're looking forward to doing a Chelsea podcast, but it might have to be double length to cover all the manager sackings.
A series.
A whole series of what's going on at Chelsea. Oh dear. So Scott Parker was a funny one. The Bruges one was odd, wasn't it? I mean, and probably it made sense. And then obviously, so after that point, then kind of Gary O'Neill steps in, and you've got a period. Are you thinking at that point this season is going to be a long one? We're in for a haul here.
Well, we had all sorts of names getting thrown at us, like Bielsa and God knows what else, and somebody from the club put on Twitter or somewhere, Bielsa's pretty much a done deal. And we had Gary O'Neill, and he was having like quite a good run of games, but we thought that the Everton game before the World Cup was his last game, so we all started singing his name and clapping him. And then they've taken that to mean, oh, we really love Gary, let's keep him. But no, we were saying goodbye. But it is what it is, isn't it? Like he's doing okay again now, and he is, it's his first ever management role, not alone in the Premier League. You don't generally go straight into the Premier League as a manager, do you? Like try your luck in League One or whatever.
Yeah.
And learn the trade a bit, but he seems to be doing okay at the moment. So.
Just touching on Gary O'Neill as well, obviously we had the Eddie Howe style of play, we had the Scott Parker style of play of football as well, completely different. What kind of style of play does O'Neill, what does he have a certain formation? Does he have a certain
He seems to change it about. He has made some quite bizarre decisions, like take off one of the attacking midfielders and put on another defender and things like that when we're not winning. Like, yeah, fair enough if you're defending your lead, but not when you're not in the lead.
Yeah. So
And
it's like in the middle. It's like a merge between Eddie Howe and Parker in one.
I'd say he's more on the defensive side than the attacking side, but as I say, he's still learning. So he did try playing back five quite a few times, which in most games for us doesn't work because we don't have the personnel for it. But generally he plays back four, and that seems to work better. So as I say, he's learning on the job, isn't he? So
he's evolving, isn't he? And with that squad coming up in the Premier League, you kind of have to play that way to a certain extent. There's very few teams that come up and can play kind of an expansive, more, maybe Brentford or somebody that did it, but not a few kind of other teams that are a little bit more. Yeah, you have to be defence first, particularly after taking over after the 9-0 with Liverpool. It's probably right, shut up shop, guys. Let's sort the back out first, and then we'll come to everything else.
Yeah, we've got quite a few really good players in January. A couple of them came to us injured, so it took a while for us to see what they could do, but Tavernier is absolutely fantastic. Itara's had a few amazing moments as well, and I think he's quite young as well, so
brought for you interesting young players, don't you? So Itara and was it Zabani as well, the centre back? Yeah, both young players that could develop
for
well
the future,
as well. Yeah.
Just touching on that as well, do you think they've kind of helped you getting them players in January to obviously where you are now in the league this season?
Yeah, definitely, because there was one phase where we didn't have enough people for the bench, so we were having to put 2 spare goalkeepers on and people from the academy as well, which, that they would get on and play the last 2 minutes or something. But
you should have rung Mark Pugh up. He'd have come down, I'm sure. All the legends in. No, not ideal. There was some good, I think, as well. Is it Vino on loan from Roma as well that you've got there?
He's fantastic. He almost scored a goal last night. No, he did score a goal, but he was offside, or Solanke was offside. So, yeah, he's really good. I think a lot of people are hoping to keep him at the end of the season, but I don't know whether we can or not.
I think there is I don't know if there's a buy clause or not in there. I'm not sure. He wasn't, because he played quite a bit for Roma last year when I was having a look. He did play quite a bit. So it's obviously not in Mourinho's plans this season, but Mourinho's an enigma all to himself, trying to predict that man.
No. He doesn't even know what he's doing.
He's turned Chris Smalling into a world-class centre-back. So,
I know, that's mental. That is mental.
So what can you do about that? So, I mean, obviously Gary is doing the business, though. I mean, in terms of where they're at, league position, etc. When we were talking a couple of weeks back doing the episode with you, the relegation battle was looking in a very different place. But Bournemouth have been on a really good run, haven't they? This part of the season, they've really turned up in some of the big games. So, obviously, as we record at the minute, 36 points, beating Southampton last night. Are you feeling confident? How many more do you think you need?
I think we need to probably win one more, or we might be okay with one draw, because Southampton's only on 26, I believe. And I think somebody said nobody's got relegated that have been over 35 points since 2015. So hopefully we're safe now. But yeah, another win or two would be more reassuring.
Would be the cherry on the top of the cake. Yeah. And you'll say you've got a couple of home games up next. Leeds at home. That's Leeds are struggling, so that's got potential. And Chelsea at home, which is a banker for anybody at the moment.
Definite 3 points.
We tend to do well against Chelsea for some weird reason, but knowing our luck, it's been such a weird season because games that we should have probably won, we've lost, and then games that we definitely thought that we were going into a loss, we've won. So just don't know.
It has been bonkers. So just looking at your wins since the World Cup. So you've had, say, Wolves away, which has not been easy since Lopetegui took over. That was a good victory. Liverpool at home, obviously, after the 9-0 was a crazy. That was great. Josh enjoyed that one immensely.
I enjoyed abusing him that week. It was great.
Well,
Joe had a good time.
HerGameToo ambassador came down because it was our dedicated fixture, and she'd put on Twitter, "Oh, I'm feeling a 10-0." And bless her, I think she regretted that.
Got tired.
Just a bit. So you beat Fulham as well. Fulham were having a great season. That's a good win. Leicester, who were down there, obviously, the other week, which was a really important one. And then you went and beat Spurs as well at Tottenham.
Yeah, great wins in there, though. Some fantastic results.
Some really good wins.
Spurs, you feel really good about Spurs, and then you see them the next week. Like, perhaps that wasn't such a good result.
Yeah.
Because I think they drew 3-3 with Southampton, didn't they?
They had a 3-0 with Southampton, and then they got the Newcastle drubbing, didn't they?
Yeah.
And so even last night at Manchester United, they were awful in the first half. They were good in the second half, but they were awful in the first half. It was another hangover. So Tottenham are another one. But say again, to go up there and win, still not easy. They've still got Harry Kane. So
yeah. Well, actually, Harry Kane didn't score in either of the matches. So home or away.
You're probably the only team this season that's probably done that, I think. Not many keep Harry Kane out. So, yeah, that's spot on. So, off the basis of that, if you're thinking Bournemouth need one more, who do you think in the relegation clash is done for?
I think definitely Southampton. I don't know between Leicester and Leeds. And I'd like to say Forest. I don't know. I'm not particularly keen on Forest fans, so I'm kind of hoping they're in it. But they seem to have picked up form again the last couple of games, so I don't know. It's, but I definitely think Leicester or Leeds would be in it.
Yeah, I think Saints for me seem done. For me seem done. I think you're looking at Leeds, Leicester, Everton, kind of in that scrappy, and I think Forest are there as well. So I think Saints, in my mind, Saints and Forest are kind of really set, and then the other one could be a bit of a free for all. There's just so many bonkers results.
I think Everton. I just feel like, and this is no disrespect to Dyche or anything, because
Dyche's got an ace up his sleeve. Tell me he's got an ace up his sleeve. I think
he's got such a big job on his hands.
Yeah.
Because they just don't seem to be picking up any points whatsoever. Whereas Nottingham Forest, obviously, they picked up. Did they pick up a win? They won, didn't they? The other day?
I think so. Yeah.
It's against Brighton. It was quite a good win. Yeah, they won in midweek.
Yeah.
I feel like they're picking up points. Leicester are here and there. I don't see Leeds picking up many points as well. They just seem like carnage at the minute. But I think Everton are really struggling. I just don't see where their next win's coming from.
No. Yeah, I think they are.
When Dyche took over, everyone was like, "Oh, Everton's probably safe now." But
I was one of them as well. I thought, he's fine, but I feel like he's got a massive job on his hands, and I think there's a lot going on behind closed doors at Everton as well, with the board and stuff. So, yeah,
I've got FFP as well, haven't they? So.
FFP issues, board issues. Yeah, I think we just love Dyche so much. We're like, Dyche will sort it out.
We're blinkered by the Dyche.
Dyche would send him into any situation and he'd sort it out. So he'll get his way out of it, I'm sure. Absolutely.
I know. I just want to know about next season. I know, obviously, it's a big ask because this one hasn't finished yet. Yeah. But obviously, what are your expectations for next season? Is it obviously surviving relegation again? Is it hopefully pushing on and ending up, if you do finish where you are this season, is it going the next step? What are your expectations?
Our owner wants us to be mid-table or above. Brilliant. So I think he will do whatever he needs to do in order to make that happen. Because he said, "Oh, we're definitely not going to get relegated," and everybody is like, "Are you actually mad? You can't say that." But it seems like he might be right. So
he must know a thing or two then, for sure.
Yeah. He's got a successful I want to say ice hockey team in America. So he does know a thing or two about sports, but it's his first football team, and he's also bought L'Oreal.
Okay, that's
how we got Atara, because they're like another partner club or something.
Yeah.
So you could see a lot of youth players over the years coming through
Possibly,
that route, maybe.
They're not ever so fond of the idea, but
no. So you can send your has-beens out there when you had enough of them and just be like, yeah, there you go, you can have this guy.
Or players that are not getting time, and they need to play. So like Travers, he was absolutely fantastic for us last season. But then unfortunately, he in the first few games of the season, he's let in 9 goals at Liverpool, and I think obviously that would shake anybody's confidence, and he is only young. And I think he could really do with actually playing. Yes, it's good to have him on the bench, because we had a bit where Neto was injured and he came back into the team. But I think he needs to play.
I think loan deals are so important for goalkeepers when they're young to get, even if it's numbers of. I mean, the one I always look at is Emi Martinez. How many loan deals he had when he was at Arsenal, and I think he was at Oxford United, a number of teams in lower league. Then I think he went abroad as well, and then obviously got the move to Villa, and the World Cup happened, and all of that.
It's reminding me of that mascot episode with that. Was it the Scunthorpe dog?
A Scunthorpe dog doing the Emi Martinez. Yep, that you can catch on our Light Bright episode, Football Mascots. A mascot doing a Sharkles, the Emi Martinez.
Oh, that's funny. That's really made me laugh. I'm going to have the giggles now for the rest of this episode.
Just going to have the giggles. Well, so we also want to touch on while you're here, because obviously a massive part of what you're involved in, which is obviously Charlotte, is something is massive with her as well, is HerGameToo and the ambassador elements and things that you do for HerGameToo. So I guess let's just kick off with how did you become involved in the campaign and what it means to you?
So I had been following Amy, who's one of the founders, because she'd come on a podcast that I watch, and they used to do like an opposition preview, and it was when we were in the championship and we were due to play Swans, so they had her on and somebody else I think as well, and I'd followed her since then. And then obviously I saw her tweeting about HerGameToo, and I was like, oh, this sounds fantastic. So I then started pestering Bournemouth to get involved with it, which took about a year. And eventually they partnered up, and then nothing seemed to be happening. And obviously behind the scenes, unbeknownst to us, the takeover was happening and everything. So they had other things on their minds, but they got the partnership done. But they didn't have an ambassador for almost a year. And I applied for it, and Kaz loved my story of how I got into football and the fact that I was 46 when I got into football. So it sort of shows that it can happen for anybody at any age, and football really is a game for anybody. So yeah, that's how I got into it, really.
Well, it's awesome. And so Shah's always giving us updates on stuff she's doing, and when we see so much of it. So it's been great from the podcast view, something that we've been really close to and really supportive of, and it's great. I mean, in terms of what's happened your side so far, what's been your favourite achievement in the time you've been HerGameToo? One of the things that stand out for you?
I loved getting the dedicated fixture sorted out and everything. Myself and Reaper, the ambassador from Liverpool, got to walk out with the match ball, because we have this thing every week. It's called Fans Champion, and they just say a bit about the person. So it can be from, say, an 80-year-old man that has been supporting Bournemouth his whole life, and somebody's put him forward and he comes onto the pitch and our stadium announcer will say a bit about him, and then he gets to walk up with the match ball and put it on the podium and stuff. So that was really cool, and we got to talk to loads of people around the ground and stuff, and yeah, it was really good. And then behind the scenes, doing lots of different things with the club, and people come to me and say, oh, I don't know if this is something you can do something about, but I just thought I'd bring it to your attention, and then I can go and speak to the club about it, and that they'll generally sort it out pretty quickly, because sometimes, you know, they don't go into all of the stands all of the time, and they might not necessarily know that these things are happening. So one of our stands apparently only had one sanitary bin in it, which sounds like a minor thing, but when there's that many women in that stand, it can be a bit of a problem. So then I'll go and speak to my club contact, and they will sort it out. But yeah, it's a really good campaign, and I can just see it going from strength to strength. So
just touching on that as well, I know you mentioned obviously about Bournemouth, but how have the club actually been with you? Have they been really supportive of your ideas? Have you obviously being a Premier League club, I feel like sometimes it could be a bit more difficult, like talking to the club, because it's so big. But how have they been with you? Have they been supportive of everything?
Well, we're obviously a very small Premier League club, so my club contact's really brilliant. I could just WhatsApp her, and then every so often we'll have a catch up over Zoom or whatever, which will be like a proper meeting. But if something just crops up, I can just email her or WhatsApp her, and yeah, she keeps the lines of communication very open. There's some things that she thinks are a really good idea, but might be trickier because of things that they're allowed to do within the Premier League and stuff. But I think it's all gradually getting there, and it's new for them and it's new for us. So it will eventually be the case that they have to take on board the ideas, because the Premier League's getting involved as well, and the EFL's obviously already involved. So yeah, we'll get there.
Brilliant. As well, your fellow fans and the community, like as a whole, because just from outside, I feel like Bournemouth is a very community club.
Yeah,
and
very much so.
Yeah, how have they been? Like, are they supportive of it? Is there anything you've done with the community to try and incorporate HerGameToo?
Just generally being around. As I say, I go to pretty much every game, so I get random people coming up to me that I don't have a clue who they are, and they obviously know who I am, and they just come up. And yesterday, I just had somebody come up to me and go, "Great game, ambassador," and I'm like, "Okay."
I love that.
But yeah, I get to meet various different people, and more people seem to come up and chat now. But it's always been a very welcoming community feel to the club. Yeah. That's what sort of made me fall in love with football more, and that actual club. So it's not the easiest club for me to choose, because obviously they're about to get relegated when I started becoming a fan, and it's pretty far to drive there and back. So it's like a 5-hour round trip on a match day. So
I do love that though. I love hearing different stories as well, because it's just so refreshing, and just how people and football, and just how the togetherness, and just people, just I have it as well at Rochdale. There's people who come up to me and they're like, "Oh, you're doing such a great job," and it's just them little things what just make it so. It just makes you want to do it more, doesn't it? To make these positive changes and stuff. And I get emotional think about it, because I think to myself, I'm part of this big campaign what's just growing, and we can make positive changes for like the next generation and even this generation now. And it's just so surreal sometimes.
It is. It's amazing. And all the girls in the campaign are absolutely lovely as well, aren't they? So
they really are. I like this question as well. I'm going to ask because I ask it everyone, and it's part of my program features. But if there was a female who wasn't sure about going football, who wasn't sure about playing football, what would your words of encouragement be? What would you say to them?
I'd say just give it a try. There's absolutely nothing to lose, and if you don't like it, then don't do it again. I think you pretty much will. I think, you know, the fact that I've got into it so late on and now I'm absolutely mad for it just shows what an amazing sport it is, and the community and everything around it is.
It's a friendship you can get from it as well, isn't it? Like going to games and developing them friendships. And
you see the same people week in, week out, don't you? And we've got a nice little group that we meet up socially as well. So like we had a Christmas do and things like that. In the World Cup, we all had a night out and stuff and watched the football together. So yeah, it's really lovely.
It's crazy as well because it's you kind of go through life with these people as well. It's like with me, obviously, I've been going with my dad since I was a little girl, and I feel like I've grown up with all these fellow like fans, you know, around me, and you kind of see like them having kids and then other people having grandkids, and it's mad just seeing everyone around you, and like it's like you're growing up with them as well and kind of sharing that with all these people.
Obviously, I haven't grown up with them. I was already fully grown.
It's nice, though, isn't it? So even at any stage of life, you find something that's new and different, and you can create a new group. And I think that's it. I mean, so we're obviously doing it through the podcasting route, which is sort of very different. You know, we're not spring chickens. I think it's fair to say. Some of the pod are. I won't mention any names. Some of the pod are. But it's nice to find something that you can be passionate about, and that you still find other people that have had that passion for so long, or new to that passion as well, and can kind of have all of that. So yeah, I mean, it seems like the campaign's doing fantastic stuff. It's getting bigger and bigger. It's great. You know, we've got 2 ambassadors on. I don't know what the word is for is it ambassadorial when you're together? When you have 2 ambassadors in the same place?
I think the word's just awesome, isn't it?
Awesome ambassadors. We'll go for that. That's fair enough. And speaking of awesome, the main reason you wanted to come on, Heather, of course, I'm sure, was because of the now famous game, the Absolutely or Absolutely Not game. That we play with everybody, where there are only 2 answers, and one is absolutely and one is absolutely not. But you can't get to that without playing the promo video. So
right,
let's go.
The question with only 2 answers. Absolutely.
And there we go. I think the best part I like about that video is Shard's seen that at least 20 times now, and still every time.
It makes me laugh more because I thought it was such a good idea doing that with lipstick, doing the glasses with lipstick. Then I started wiping my face, and my face was purple.
How long did it take for that to come off?
Well, I scrubbed myself. I had a shower. I scrubbed myself. And honestly, I don't know if it was still the lipstick or if it was just red face from the scrubbing. So I went in work the next day. Honestly, I looked like a Ribena buncher. I was just bright red.
The level Shah goes to for the pod.
I'm dedicated to the pod.
Dedicated to the pod. And of course, it is to represent absolutely or absolutely not, which is a game that we play with our guests, which is a question of who will be at your club next season, who will be here next season. We've got 6 players. And we want you to answer whether you think absolutely that they will be with Bournemouth next season or absolutely not. And then at the end, we get to spin the wheel to find out where they go and transfers. So let's start here. Let's not have that because that's not the start. Let's go to slide 1. That's always the best place to start. Stevens. Centre back to Stevens. Absolutely or absolutely not, Heather?
I'd like to say absolutely.
You can say absolutely if you want to say absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Jack Stevens, you are staying. Next up, Jefferson Lerma.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Lerma's on the move, right? So that's one for the wheel. Lerma is not going to be here next season.
Absolutely.
Christie is an absolutely. I think he's been a good signing, isn't he, for you? Yeah. Christie is absolutely. Stacey.
Not.
He's another to go. So Stacey as well. That's number 2. Junior Stanislas.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. He's on the move. Heather is shipping him out tonight, by the sounds of it.
Bless him.
And Kiefer Moore is the last on your list. Absolutely
not.
Absolutely not. So we've got 4 absolutely not. 4 absolutely not. Spill the wheel. So let's bring up said wheel. Here is said wheel. And here we go. So, of course, we spin the wheel. We will do if I can find the actual.
I wonder if any of them are coming Rochdale. We ended up with James Maddison at Rochdale.
James Madison.
I was buzzing.
If you haven't seen All About Leicester episode, do check that out just for that alone, just to see the moves on the Leicester episode. There were some quality moves on that one. I think we've also had Declan Rice to Ayr United as well. As an absolute classic. So straight off the bat, Jefferson Lerma was the first one, wasn't he, that we said?
Yeah.
So should we spin the wheel? Where is Jefferson Lerma going to go? And Jefferson Lerma is joining Ryan Reynolds' project.
Ooh.
He's going to Wrexham.
I think if he leaves, he'll be going to Spain.
Wrexham's not quite the same climate. So that's Wrexham. And who was second on the list, Shah? Who was one of the other ones that we said was going?
There was
Jack
more.
Stacey.
There was Stanislas.
Jack Stacey.
Yeah.
Jack Stacey was next. So we're going to spin the wheel again. Jack Stacey is. Where is the wheel going to stop for Jack Stacey? Oh! It's a big move for Stacey. He's just. I mean, he was on the verge. He was on the verge of Scotland, and it's Bayern Munich. It's Bayern.
I think
Munich.
he's more likely to go to Ayr.
I think so.
Bless him. He's lovely, but he's just not. He's just not getting in the team, and yeah,
he's not Bayern Munich material.
Probably not. No,
probably not. So he's not.
Tuchel wants him. Tommy Tuchel wants him.
Tommy Tuchel. Why not? Go for it. Next up was Stanislas.
Oh,
where?
I think he's going into retirement.
He's going to Brighton, apparently.
Brighton.
I mean, he could go to retirement in Brighton, go and sit on the beach, maybe. Off to Brighton. There you go. And last up, Kiefer Moore, Welsh international. Where is he going to go? And he's going to Donny Rovers, Doncaster Rovers for Kiefer Moore.
What could do with him? They've had a bit of a nightmare season.
He'd be useful, yeah. I mean,
He would be useful.
He'd do
He
wonders
would head
for
a
them.
brick for them if they wanted him to.
There you go.
We need McDale.
Lump it up, Donny. No, you've got James Maddison now, Shah. You've got different.
Yeah, that's true. I'm being greedy now, aren't I?
There's a different style of football coming into Rochdale now. You can't have them all. You can't have them all. And so that was absolutely not. Some fantastic transfers there. Some fantastic transfers. So with Sally, it's flown by. It's come to the end of our special All About Bournemouth episode with Heather. We've had a fantastic time talking to you all about your history in getting to Bournemouth, in terms of your love for football, in terms of where Bournemouth are going and this season, and say. When we were talking a few weeks ago, I was thinking, this could be a sad one if Bournemouth go on a bit of a losing run.
Yeah.
You might be like, I don't want to talk about Bournemouth. Let's talk about anything else.
Well,
so,
I'll always talk about Bournemouth.
Thank you for coming on. Hopefully you've enjoyed it nonetheless. And it's lovely to have you on, having had you on the podcast and on our chat. And we much appreciate you joining us for those. So thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. And so we'll go around the table so that you don't miss where you can catch everybody. Charlotte, where can everybody catch you?
I'm most active on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I'm SharXRAFC, or you can catch my HerGameToo stuff. That's Rochdale HGT on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok as well. There's some really good stuff going on.
Super duper. And Heather, where can everybody get more Heather? Where can they come and see you? My
Instagram and Twitter, the personal one's Hedgehog73, and my HerGameToo is HDTX Bournemouth.
Excellent. Definitely do go and check that out and give Heather your support. That would be superb. I'm Sam. I'm Up the FN Ducks on Twitter, on TikTok, my website. Loads of football shirts coming out that I'm looking at the minute. So plenty going on there. And of course, the Absolute Football Podcast. We would love your support on all the channels. Josh, we put this up because they're all different. Set them up all differently just to make things difficult for you. You've got to earn it, as he says. You've got to earn it. So on Twitter, we are. He does. He does. On Twitter, we are at Absolute Ball Pod. On TikTok, we are at Absolute Football Pod. And on Instagram, we are Absolute Football Podcast _ and say if you like the video, subscribe. That's fantastic. We can keep checking more of this fantastic content at you. Myself, Charlotte, the rest of the team as well. We're all there. So thank you for joining us. And yeah, that's it. Nothing else more to say. Bournemouth are in the Premier League next season. Hopefully, if this drastically changes, I might have to edit that bit out, but I think we're feeling safe. So I'm going to go for it. I'm going to take a pump. But for now, thank you very much. Trust the process and look after yourselves. See you soon.